wait and praise, because it's almost Christmas Day. A little faith can always go such a long way. There's something about the way you spent your Christmas. There's something about the way you care. Something about the way you care. A little goes a long way. 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 Christmas Day. A little goes a long way. 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 Christmas Day.
Hello, welcome to the Comic Bros Authority podcast. My name is Andre, and with me is CEO assassination suspect Miles.
Hello.
I just dated us.
Yeah, you did. No, I seriously would like to thank our producer here. He's our guest producer, but he's been doing such a wonderful job. It's Luigi. He's been here since December 5th at 6:45 a.m. Amazing work here in California.
Yeah, amazing job you've done. Thank you so much. Oh, God.
Oh my God.
Are we getting in trouble for this?
I hope not.
Yeah.
Anyways, Merry Christmas, Andre.
And Merry Christmas, Miles.
Heyo. So today on our show, it's going to be a little bit sacrilegious, if you will.
Yeah.
We decided we couldn't find a real good Christmas book to do. So I said, why don't we just do a book that has to do with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So I chose Punk Rock Jesus. Yeah. By Sean Murphy. This is from Vertigo. It's a DC imprint where they do, non-related DC books, independents, if you will. It was shuttered back in 2019. They just brought it back this year. I'm so happy.
You sound happy.
I am very happy. But yeah, so let's do it.
All right, Punk Rock Jesus. I remember when this first came out, I remember seeing the ads for it and I was like, hell yeah, Punk Rock Jesus.
Let's go.
Yeah. I think it was like back in like 2011.
11?
Yeah. Sometime around there.
Yeah.
And I collected the first issue, but then I stopped collecting it and then I just waited for the trade.
Yeah. I never got the trade. I always wanted it. Let me put my phone on silent.
Jesus Christ.
I wish I had that sound effect on here.
Oh, well, too bad.
Yeah. So this is a 2011 book by Sean Murphy. Everything is done by him. He writes, he draws, he inks, he does all the fantastic stuff.
It wasn't lettered by anyone, just him?
On my digital copy, I don't have
Oh,
credits.
it's Todd Klein who's the letterer.
Oh, okay.
All right, Todd.
Way to go, Todd. So generally, what this book is about is that this corporation decides to, what shroud do they use? The one that covered Jesus's face?
The Shroud of Turin.
The Shroud of Turin. They used a DNA sample from there to clone Jesus and base a reality show around his life day in and day out, like the Truman Show.
Yeah, that's what I was getting from it.
Yeah, so it has like Truman Show and I think the satire of RoboCop of like capitalism unchecked.
Yes, it does. And that's really what he was going for with one of the characters in here, Slate, the
Yeah.
CEO guy.
Yeah, he seems like a sleazy 1980s like douchebag villain.
Yeah, the one that you'd see in every 80s film.
Yeah. It's a pretty wild book. There's a lot of different commentary in this one.
A lot. And you know what? We'll get to that later.
Oh, okay.
But it is a really enjoyable read because it has highs and lows.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of it works for me.
Yes, there are some parts that don't.
Yeah, exactly. But for the most part, it's an enjoyable read, and you get to see just how fucked up, like this would actually happen.
Yeah. So around the time that this was like being made, let me give you some history. So, okay, so 2007, Is it 2008? We had we had the financial crisis,
Yeah.
but in television we had the writer strike.
Mm-hmm.
So when that happened, you remember all of our shows just went fucking dead. There was just they cobbled whatever they could together just to keep them running.
Oh, Heroes.
Oh, Heroes was the biggest casualty of them all.
Yeah, it was. Oh God.
And so during that time, while scripted television was kind of like being screwed over, a lot of networks shifted over into doing reality TV. So that's when we got a huge boom in reality TV. That's out of there came the Kardashians and Jersey Shore.
Mhm.
And those were the big shows at the time. Remember when those were like all over, like,
Everyone was watching them.
yeah, exactly. Everyone was watching that. So I believe out of that came this, because it becomes a commentary on reality television and kind of as a society, as a culture, our kind of addiction to watch this, what we know is not good for us. Because I think reality TV is trash.
No, I agree. I'm not a big fan of reality TV. The only reality TV I do watch is when it's like competition reality.
Okay.
RuPaul's Drag Race, Great British Bake Off,
Okay.
House of Villains?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's a new one. So basically they grab all the quote unquote villains of reality TV and they put them all in a house together. And it's hosted by Joel McHale.
Joel McHale, what are you doing?
He needs a paycheck.
I understand, but Jesus, you're saying yes to everything.
Yeah, but you have New York from
Oh, Flavor of Love.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, she's been on the past 2 seasons.
Oh shit.
Oh, and she's great.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, season 1 also had Omarosa from
I
The
was about to
Apprentice.
say, like, Omarosa, like, doesn't she hate Trump now?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, she wrote a like tell all or whatever.
I'm sure she still voted for him though.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, so this book I think really shows that, and I wouldn't say in a way that it's like dated, because I mean this book is going on what, like 13 years old now.
Yeah.
So it's still, I think it's still prevalent, because there's still a lot of like, trash television out there that like takes the world by storm.
If anything has become more popular, it is reality television
Yeah.
over the years, because you have shows that show every aspect of life. uh I mean, just look at the TLC.
Yeah, TLC, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly 90 Day Fiance crazy.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was watching 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days
Yep.
because it's ridiculous that I'm addicted to see like
It gets you.
yeah, it really traps you in. And then there's so many spin-offs, and then you have people that are featured in it. Like this one woman, she was in about like 2 or 3 seasons of it,
Yeah.
and then she gets a spin-off with her sister.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just
Yeah.
keeps growing and multiplying. It's like a virus.
Yeah, and you look at the Kardashians, and how many of them need their own spin-off shows?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I mean, you have them under one roof and you're just filming them. Just do that. So before we really get started, I just want to preface all this with a spoiler warning. We are going to be talking about things that happen in the book. So if you want to go ahead and read it first, go ahead and do it. Turn this off and then come back to it afterwards. But if not, then, stick around with us and we'll just talk about the book.
Yeah, yeah. Well, welcome to the ride. Yeah, so this book really does have a lot of characters in it. I
Mhm.
mean, my general thoughts over the book, I mean, it's really well done. Is this Sean Murphy's first written work?
I don't believe so. I believe he did something before this, but I know that he was an artist first.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I knew. I knew him as just like an artist first
Hmm.
before reading this book. So it was just minor stuff, really. It was
Yeah.
like Joe the Barbarian. And,
Yeah, with Grant Morrison.
yeah.
There was American Vampire.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But this was really my first introduction to Sean Murphy as a creator.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised and I loved it. I love because this book is not in color, it's in black and white.
Yes.
That was a huge draw for me.
Was this like your first like black and white comic?
I think so. I think one that I actively went and read because I mean, before I was just,
I mean,
oh,
it's just superheroes and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I rarely ventured out into indie work.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I'd say this is my first black and white.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so the version I have is the trade paperback from 2013.
Okay.
It's one of the first trades that I just started collecting.
Oh.
So the pages are like a little yellowed. It's on that news stock.
Yeah. The news. It's better than newsprint, but it's that extreme like that almost newsprint.
Yeah, and I absolutely love it because it gives that feel to it, that lack of a better term, punk rock feel.
Yeah.
While reading it, so it was such a blast to be able to just pick it up and get into it.
Yeah. I'd have to say, like, as far as like getting into like the character work here,
Hmm.
this book is more dense than I remember.
Oh, same.
Yeah, like I kept reading through it and I was like, wait, the first, like you said, like, damn, this first issue isn't over yet.
Yeah.
I was expecting like a simple like 23 pages or something, and it just kept going.
Yeah, so first started reading it digitally because I was at work,
Yeah.
and then I when I got home, I picked up the paperback and then I started reading and then I kept going and I kept going and I was like, "Wait a minute. This book doesn't have any like chapter markers in it.
Oh, the trade doesn't?
The trade doesn't."
Oh shit.
Yeah, so it just kept going and going and going. Next thing you know it, I'm like in the middle of the book and I was like, "Oh shit."
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder why they didn't break it up with like the covers.
Yeah, I wonder why
The covers are fantastic pieces of
Oh,
work.
yeah, I absolutely love them, especially the last one.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That I think that's the cover to the deluxe edition that they have.
Yeah, I was reading the deluxe edition on DC Infinite,
Okay, yeah.
and just like that one, just kept reading and reading, and I was like, "Damn, this is taking a while."
Yeah.
Like issue number one, but then that kind of goes into kind of a complaint I have. It really didn't feel like the first act was over until half the book.
Yes, I agree. That its act structure is different. I don't think there was a very clear one
Mhm.
because when you think about it, our main character Chris, who is punk rock Jesus, he doesn't really appear until like almost like like 2/3 of the way in,
Mhm.
and that's so crazy. I was like, oh wow, like we're really getting a lot of setup here. What is usually supposed to be the first act of a story, and I thought like, all right, like, but we don't we get everyone else surrounding Chris for a long time before we really dive into Chris being the main character who we're following and we're seeing his side.
You know, even though this book is about, Jesus, the clone of Jesus Christ, I really felt like the main character was more of Thomas, the bodyguard.
Yes. Yeah, it is more Thomas. 'Cause
Yeah, because you get his whole backstory and flashbacks throughout the book.
yeah.
You just follow his career inside of J2. You know what? We're talking a lot about the book, but we haven't really give the listeners, what this book is, the
Is
characters, the setting. Let's go into that.
okay. So yeah, punk rock Jesus. It's in the not too distant future, and so this corporation, Ophis, has decided to make a reality TV show based off of a clone of Jesus Christ. So you have the CEO, his name is Rick Slater or
Slate.
Slate, Rick Slate, and you have the biogeneticist doctor. What's her name again? Sarah
Yeah.
Epstein.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Dr. Epstein.
So you have Dr. Epstein. You have Gwen, who is the virgin who gets impregnated in utero,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the bodyguard. You have Thomas.
Who's ex IRA.
Yeah, he's definitely yeah.
Yeah, and they go into a lot of what what the IRA did through the troubles.
Yeah,
Which
definitely.
is an ongoing situation from the early, well, honestly, for centuries
Yeah.
of Catholics versus Protestants, basically Ireland versus England.
Yeah.
For the simplest of terms, it's much more nuanced than that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we're not going to get too much into it because we're not professionals on the subject.
I actually went into kind of a deep dive on the Troubles when I was watching Dairy Girls on Netflix. It's fascinating, just the whole situation, especially when you get to the 1900s,
Yeah.
especially after World War One.
That the famine.
Mm-hmm. And just how people are like how far they're willing to go to reclaim their land.
Yeah.
And while I do agree that, Ireland should be its own thing without any other government controlling it,
Yeah.
what they've done is, oof, God,
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
horrendous.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know that much as they've done some pretty wild fucked up shit in the name of freedom.
Yeah. But it's like, it's crazy because it's at like the cost of their own people.
Yeah. So you have Thomas, he's ex-IRA, he's the bodyguard. And then you have Sarah's daughter is Gwen. Or no, Rebecca.
Rebecca.
Gwen's the mom, sorry.
There's a lot of blonde women in this.
Yeah, there is. And then especially with no color,
Yeah.
it gets a little confusing.
Yeah.
Sean Murphy kind of draws faces a little too similar
Mm-hmm.
that I was getting a little confused. Like there was a part later on in the book where Thomas is driving away and Sarah is looking for Rebecca. And Rebecca she's at this point she's 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, who the fuck is Rebecca? Because I just forgot she was in the story, and then she, like the last time you see her was a little girl, and all of a sudden she's kind of like growing up to be this young woman.
Yeah.
I just forgot. I was like, oh shit, oh, and then I had to flip back and like look, and I was like, oh okay, it's the
daughter.
It's the daughter.
It's Sarah's daughter.
Yeah.
So basically what the corporate Office,
yeah.
they have a project J2 taking DNA from the Shroud of Turin. That it's a shroud that was placed over Jesus Christ after he was crucified, and they take DNA samples on it and try to revive it so they can go ahead and clone Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And they do so successfully. They hold a competition to see, to find virgins.
Yeah.
Just to impregnate her.
Yeah. And then so they have this whole habitat. I'm just going to call it like a habitat on this island.
Yeah, because that's what it really is.
Yeah. And then it's just like a lot of indoctrination with like teaching this kid, trying to keep them safe because you have a lot of religious zealots. You have the New American Christians. It's what kind of group would you say that?
I think they're
extremists in a way.
Extremists, zealots.
Yeah.
A Christian group.
Yeah.
Consider them, well, they're funded by the NRA. So if you think about it in today's context, I would say it's more of like the Bible Belt of America, those kind of Christians.
Yeah.
Shit, Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah, something along the lines of that.
Yeah.
Except without calling people mean names.
Yeah, I mean, they do call people pretty mean. They were calling Gwen.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, shit, yeah.
Yeah,
that's right.
They were calling her like a whore and stuff, even though she's a virgin.
Yeah, didn't they also use an F word slur?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I get it
Whatever.
within the context of the story.
No, yeah. I'm not faulting the story for saying that. I'm just saying like I just forgot about that part where I think they call Thomas one.
Yeah.
I was like, oh Jesus.
And if you call a Catholic that.
Yeah, so we're just following kind of like it does a lot of time jumps too throughout the story.
Yeah, so basically what Sarah Epstein's job is that she's the one who helped fertilize the egg and put it into Gwen so she can carry Jesus Christ to term, but she's doing this so she can fund her algae work, her project, so she can turn back global warming because global warming is increasing.
Yeah, which honestly I didn't know until like later on into the book where you have the island of Manhattan is sinking. Like sea levels have risen. It's all bad. So I can only imagine Florida is a lot worse.
Yeah.
So it doesn't give you that information. I just thought it was more on the lines of like, oh, I'm going to do this to prevent global warming, but then you just see like, oh, things already gotten this bad.
Yeah, so when the book starts off, it's 2019.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you jump 15 years later. It's the near future.
Yeah.
So it's like 10 years from the time we're recording this, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, about.
About.
They mention it in a little bit of like throwaway dialogue when you're introduced to the polar bear,
Cola.
Yeah, she's adorable.
Oh,
She's a giant puppy. But they said that they started cloning polar bears because they were going extinct because the ice caps are melting.
Oh, okay. So it's feeding you the information without outright saying, "Hey, the planet's like being destroyed,"
Yeah.
without being overly preachy about it. It's just like, "No, this is my work. This is what we're doing." And yeah, it wasn't until like,
New York's flooded. They're cloning polar bears and they're trying to reduce greenhouse gases. And they mentioned that towards the end of the book that they reduced it by like 10%, but that's only the start of their work.
yeah,
Like you mentioned, there are a bunch of time jumps, and we go into, when Gwen's giving birth to the clone who she names Chris.
yeah, because it's Chris.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
And they drug her, and only Slate and Dr. Epstein see that Gwen actually had twins.
yeah,
So Slate takes the girl twin because it was a female and a male, and he takes the little girl and fills her mouth with
like a numbing agent or something like that.
yeah, just to numb her, and then threw her into the river.
So callously too.
Yeah,
He just
like if it's something that he does every day.
yeah. He's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and but the thing is that Sarah was witness to all of this.
Yeah, she followed him because she didn't trust Slate, and then
I mean, you shouldn't trust Slate at all.
oh no, not at all.
He reminds me. It almost reminds me of the guy from Aliens.
Paul Reiser's character.
Paul Reiser's character. Yes.
I was getting fucking that one guy from RoboCop.
Yeah, him too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just 1980s villain right here.
Yeah.
Always in a suit, in a trench coat, in the nicest car.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Sean Murphy draws a hell of a car.
It's Sean Murphy. I was looking at this book and I was like, every vehicle in here looks so fucking cool because I know he likes drawing cars. He loves it.
He does.
Yeah.
Okay.
He says, I think that was one of his things, like I read in the back of his Batman books, was that he just loves drawing the Batmobile and he just loves doing
And
all
he draws
that.
a fantastic Batmobile.
Yes, he does.
I love his Batmobile.
If you look at all of his work, all the vehicles they're all just so magnificent, like Tokyo Ghost.
Yes.
Or or the Batman, because like then you have all of the Batmobiles
Yeah, that's
in
right.
there. So he's just like, no, he just likes drawing vehicles.
Good for you, Sean.
Yeah, because you get Thomas's motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Beautiful.
Oh, it's so great.
Yeah.
And
The way he draws motion with them too.
yeah.
Like you really feel like you're racing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I love about his car chase scenes. They're really good. So during this time, Sarah is pregnant, and she tells everybody it's anonymous donor, and she impregnated herself. So she's having a kid, but you all know that I know they explain it later on as if it's supposed to be a twist, but it's not. You can see it coming a mile away.
Oh yeah, it didn't surprise me. Like when I first read it, I was like, oh, I already know.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's meant to be that much of a twist.
Yeah, because you have she names her daughter Rebecca.
Rebecca grows up on the little compound that Chris.
Yeah,
is
she
growing-
grows up with Chris and everything, but it turns out, all right, Rebecca is Chris's twin sister.
Yeah.
Like that's I guess the twist of it, whatever.
Yeah, so you really get to see how much this is affecting Gwen. Ophis organization already chose Gwen, and then they gave her a hair job, boob job, and a nose job.
Yeah.
So she's feeling the effects of that. She's feeling the effects of pregnancy,
Postpartum depression.
Yeah, she's really going through it. She the cameras are always on her and her son. She wants nothing but to protect her son.
Yeah.
And
Rightfully so.
yeah, exactly. Like you just want the best for your kid, and then like
Because as soon as this kid is born, he becomes the most hated person on the planet.
Yeah, no one likes the idea of cloning Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly. So you have you have Christians, you have Jewish people, and you have Muslims. They all don't like him,
Yeah.
but you have Thomas there to protect him, who's a devout Catholic
Yeah,
and who's extremely dangerous.
yeah, and he rightfully believes that Chris is,
The second
the
coming.
second coming. So there's a lot that is going on in the compound. They were like, "Oh wait, Chris is performing miracles."
Yeah, the whole wine situation where you just know it's like, oh, where's Chris's juice? And then homeboy smells it and he goes, this is wine. And then they're like, oh, it's a miracle. He turned the juice into wine.
But at this point, Gwen's an alcoholic.
Yeah, so Gwen, she's feeling like a monster because she accidentally got it mixed up. She accidentally gave her kid wine.
When Chris is a baby, she doesn't really believe that he is the second coming. She doesn't believe he's Jesus Christ.
No, it's just her son.
Yeah. It's just like that whatever this J2 story is, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, because they start fabricating a lot. And I know in there they're like, no, we'll just like cover it up with CGI, which I always laughed at because I was like, CGI's not that fucking great. You can tell. Even at this point, I think like the best CGI we had was the first Avatar movie. And even then, you're just like, oh, well, I know I'm looking at computer generated images. Like, it's not that great.
You will die on that Avatar hill, won't you?
What about it?
Oh god, it just I don't think it's like the best CGI.
At the time, the first one?
Oh, at the time of the book.
Yeah. Have you seen Avatar Way of Water?
No.
It's pretty good. Good.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
Is Sigourney Weaver in it?
Yes.
Okay, then maybe I'll watch it.
Yeah, she's like one of the main characters.
Okay, I'll watch it. Oh, I still gotta get around to Blade Runner 2049.
Watch that first.
Okay.
I'll watch it with you.
Get me the 4K and I'll watch it.
Have it.
Oh god.
I have it. Let's watch it.
You're just gonna have to come over and pop it in and say we're watching The Wizard of Oz, and then I'll be like, all right, cool, and then boom, it's Blade Runner 2049.
Oh my god, it's so me. Anyway, back to the book.
Back to the book.
Yeah, so Gwen's dealing with a lot. She starts regretting this decision. She needs to escape, so she escapes with Thomas as they go to her family home. And they see that her family is basically abandoned her and abandoned where they lived and everything.
It's kind of crazy that they built up they erected those walls just to keep people out because, I mean, people are crazy.
Yes.
I mean, just look at what happened with Chapel Roan this year.
Oh, yeah.
Fans going to her parents' house.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. So, people, especially when it comes to an important symbol like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's just, people are crazy.
I mean, what this book has to deal with is like religious extremism as well as unchecked capitalism and martyrism and everything like that.
Mhm.
So you do have a lot of zealots. You have a lot of that going on in this book. Yeah, everyone goes crazy. Like you have what's her name? Something Milton. She's the leader of the NAC.
Oh, Daisy Milton.
Yeah, Daisy Milton, and she's just always just loudmouth,
gun-toting.
Yeah, literally gun-toting. He shoots at Chris how many times?
Yeah, so much. Chris, Gwen, Thomas, the whole lot.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah,
And
like she raids like wherever they're at all the time.
it feels like something like when it comes to like her and her group, it feels like something coming out of Looney Tunes. It's like the Wile E. Coyote.
the way she's depicted in this, she's a big woman, a big white woman at that.
Yeah.
Who is gung-ho on the idea that cloning Jesus is bad. Chris is the Antichrist.
Yeah.
Honestly, this book is so relevant because of everything that's happened within the last 10 years.
How so?
Religious extremism has gone to a boiling point.
Okay.
I mean, just look at the right wing.
Okay.
And how far they've gone. All these mass shootings that have happened. No one is they're always trying to block gun control. The NAC in the book is partnered with the NRA, giving them funding, giving them guns so they could go ahead and take down this blasphemous child.
I did want to point that out about this book is like this is America to the extreme.
Yes, it is.
Because everyone has a freaking gun in this book.
Yes.
It's extremely, it's not like violence for violence sake, but it does feel like RoboCop, where you have somebody satirizing, America, and like, all right, they're obsessed with their guns, they're obsessed with religion, mixing in politics and everything with media,
Mm-hmm.
which is another point that I did want to get to.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's not just like Christianity, but it's also atheism.
Yeah, because I think in this book too, it kind of points out that atheism can be just as preachy as Christians.
When
Christianity, yeah.
yeah, no, I agree.
Oh, yeah.
I when I first read it, I thought it was preachy about atheism. Mind you, this was, what, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
I thought it was really preachy about, the system, and, how we mix in religion with policies, and, just how religion has created so many wars,
Right, yeah.
and it pushes a lot of people, yes, to the extreme on their policies. I I think that read it now, and I see also, like, Sean Murphy, the writer, is an atheist himself.
Okay.
I think it is also a criticism on how atheists go about, because, like, they're always screaming in your face
Yes.
about how Jesus isn't real, God doesn't exist, and
Because when we were Christian growing up, because I consider myself an agnostic now.
mhm,
I'm very, very skeptical whether or not there's a creator. I mean, it doesn't really matter much to me. But yeah, when I remember just telling friends at school, yeah, I go to church on Sundays and Wednesdays. Like, oh, God's not real. You believe in the flying spaghetti monster. And it's just like constant berating.
yeah.
And it's just like, dude, why can't you just let me believe in what I want to believe?
Yeah, and
And I,
that's how I go about it these days. I'm not a practicing Christian. I don't really I don't have a religion.
right, yeah,
I don't believe in any of that.
blasphemous.
Oh, crucify me.
Yeah, but I know, like, even myself, when I was falling out of religion and everything in high school, I kind of fell into that too, where I was just like, yeah, like I was just as loud as like Bible thumpers with my anti-Bible thumping.
Yeah, yeah, I was the same way. Now it's like
Now I
like live and let live.
Yeah, when people talk to me, like I have a friend, he likes to conversate with me about, about going to church and God's love and everything, God opening up windows. And I talk to her about it. Like
Mhm.
I don't counterpoint and be like, well, it's not God in the sky, it's you. Like I don't do that shit.
No,
I just
you engage.
Yeah, I engage. She starts telling me stuff, and then I'll just quote some Bible verses to her because I know a few, and I'm just like, yeah, like, dude, like God loves you. Like, yeah, let him love you. Like he's always holding the door open, like doing shit like that, because it's not, I don't think it's bad.
Yeah, like when you
I
get
don't believe it's bad believing in a higher power.
no, I don't believe so either. As long as you're
I'm not hurting anybody. Shit.
E exactly. I do the same thing. One of my friends, he's queer, but he also believes in Jesus.
Oh,
He
okay.
believes in, he believes in God. And so, sometimes he talks to me about that, and, it just, like, I'm more curious about how the two intertwine,
Right. Yeah.
because growing up, I was always told, "Oh, you either love God or you're a sinner." and
Right. Yeah.
you're going to hell because you're gay.
Yeah.
you know I was that's what I was that's what I was taught growing up. Like, God loves the sinner and hates the sin, but sometimes I just like to hear those words of Jesus Christ coming out of queer people's mouths, and I find it comforting
Yeah.
that not everyone has that same mindset,
Yeah.
and it's not pushed to the extreme where it's you're like, people kill themselves over this.
Yeah. They do.
People go to the extreme of disowning their children.
Yes.
Sorry, sorry. Not that it happened to me. I was lucky enough to have parents that understood for the most part and tolerated it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do have friends that have been put in that situation and then have came up from nothing
Yeah.
after that. And it's just not like you could go ahead and change. Anyways,
Yeah.
This book doesn't necessarily preach at you. It goes to show, like, if you have an aggressive message, it will ruffle feathers.
Yeah.
And it will, it will cause so much chaos, and you can have like a better understanding and also be more tolerant of people.
Yeah, because I believe towards the end of the book, you have Rebecca talking about her faith. Chris has just totally rejected it.
Hmm.
And this is where he becomes a punk rock already. But when they're talking and then they ask her, what are your beliefs? And she just says, like, I actually find it comforting to believe in a higher power, you know,
Hmm.
like but it doesn't matter, we should just be peaceful about it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Chris is just sitting there, just like, oh,
No, you're wrong.
yeah, it's just like, you're wrong. Like, if only everybody had that same train of thought, like, it's just so much cynicism.
Yeah, and it kind of really goes to show you, just when you're exposed to all of this and you just kind of create that mindset of, you know, fuck what you think.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where Chris got to at this point. He honestly, I believe he was pushed to that point.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, especially by Slate, because Slate treated his mother so terribly.
He was drugging her. He was just,
I believe he was the
basically,
one sneaking in the alcohol.
he said it.
Yeah, because he was like, "Oh, there's no alcohol allowed here."
Yeah, he said it, but he was just like, "Oh yeah, I've been boozing her up,"
Mm.
and which ultimately leads to her getting fired from the show and leaving Chris on the island. I mean, a little backtracking though is that she sort of falls in love with Thomas,
Yeah.
and Thomas makes a promise to always watch him because he's in love with her. So she this is what I thought was kind of weird, is that when she leaves the island, she tries to kill herself
Mm-hmm.
and she gets saved by an angel.
Yeah.
From that point on, she becomes super religious.
I got a different reading from that.
Yeah.
I So she tried to kill herself, and she was saved by an angel. I believe that she used the NAC as a means to get an army to get Chris back.
Okay.
That's what I got from the story.
Okay. Because I was thinking that, but when she was like on TV, like she wrote a book, they were funding the book and everything, and she was just talking very, very Christiany and everything. So I was like, okay, is she like, did she like in this, like her moment of weakness, did she, feel like she was both metaphorically as well as physically saved?
I think it was just metaphorically.
Okay.
And you know what? Sometimes when you have those divine interventions,
Right.
you know, it switches something inside of you.
Okay.
You know what? I do believe that, like, in the end, she did end up, becoming religious, but she's not as extreme as the NAC, but she just wanted her kid back.
Yeah.
And that raid on the compound when she tries to get Chris back.
Ah, that was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Well, some spoilers here.
Yeah, spoilers. She's running towards the door when she sees Chris, and as she is in the middle of the frame, the metal door slams shut on her, crushing her midsection.
Yeah.
And she dies right there.
In front of Chris.
Yeah, in front of Chris, Dr. Epstein, and
Basically the whole crew of that reality show. And Thomas is pissed, starts choking out Rick Slade, because the thing at this point, Rick has full control of the compound
on his tablet.
So he controls the doors, he controls the security cameras, everything goes through him. So he knows that this was his fault.
Yeah. I mean, Slate is just the biggest piece of shit.
He is. You just love to hate him.
Yeah, and I had fun hating him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so this is the turning point for Chris, where he decides,
and this is issue 4.
Well, I couldn't tell from.
Okay, yeah, the one where I was reading digitally, I was reading it issue by issue. Issue 4 is where this happens.
Okay,
This is towards the middle or the end of that issue.
All right.
Yeah, we really don't get Chris having too much dialogue at this point. He's just kind of in the background while we deal with the drama of like the ethics of what the fuck is going on and how this is all playing out with everyone around Chris. but not really seeing it as how much it affects him. And that's something I think I would take as a negative on the book,
Hmm.
because you just kind of see it through everyone else's lens for Chris, but not through Chris's eyes up until this point.
Yeah, Chris doesn't really become like the center until
Until this point.
until like halfway, more than halfway through.
Yeah, it's 6 issues long. And we're almost done with issue 4 because at this point, that's where he gets pissed off. Thomas gets fired. Then we have him saying like he just stops. He just kind of has a tantrum as he starts breaking stuff, and then he like digs through Thomas's things and sees that he has a bunch of punk records. And
Mhm.
then Dr. Susan Epstein, she ends up giving him like, this like background on like, on history, things that don't have to do with the Bible, because
Yeah.
she's not a Bible. She doesn't believe in God. She's an atheist. And then it changes his worldview. He starts seeing like other scientists like Carl Sagan and Albert Einstein and whatnot.
Mhm.
Just seeing like basically kind of getting more of a sense of punk rock, sense of like anti-establishment,
Anarchy.
anti-conservatism. So yeah, then he gets like full on like anti-Reagan too.
Oh yeah.
So I thought that was pretty funny.
It's a nice touch. You can obviously tell which side Sean Murphy leans on with this book.
Yeah, and obviously he's a big fan of punk. If you see earlier in the book, Susan Epstein, like when Chris was a kid, she's wearing a Dead Kennedys t-shirt.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Chris becomes he wants to get into music. He performs live, but before he does, he shaves his head. He gets Liberty spikes,
Yeah.
which fucking rad.
Fuck yeah. He's doing the whole thing. He runs away and he just keeps going, and he joins a punk band,
Called the Flak Jackets.
the Flak Jackets.
Yeah, and they go on tour. Thomas gets hired as his bodyguard because he's fulfilling that promise to Gwen to protect him.
Yeah, and then so like intercut between all this, you do have like scenes of where the reason why he's really doing this is to atone for his sins of what he did as an IRA member. And
Thomas.
yeah, Thomas. And so you get that interspice between what's going on with this new punk rock Jesus, as everyone is just like kind of thrown up in arms, and every time Chris gets in front of a camera or in front of an interview, he starts talking about like, like Christianity is wrong and everything, and just going on about the evils of mixing religion and politics together
And capitalism.
and capitalism.
When he starts going in front of the cameras, that's when he starts to get preachy.
Yes, he starts preaching. Yeah,
But it's very aggressive because he is talking shit.
well, punk rock is aggressive.
hell yeah.
It is. Have you ever met a crust punk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to punk shows.
Oh yeah. Over here in Southern California, we have a very large punk scene.
Oh, especially the Latino punk scene.
Yeah, we're in. Well, we weren't Latino punks, but
No.
I had a lot of friends who were.
Mm-hmm. I even, I went to a queer punk show in LA years
sweet.
ago. Yeah, it was called Scum, but the S was lowercase and
And
C
cum.
cum was capital, and I was like, hell yeah, this is great.
Now, first up on the bill is the cum dumpsters. But yeah. So I kind of like that, even though all right. So I'm just going to give my brief 2 cents. Hold on, let me set up the soapbox really quick.
All right, here. But there you go.
Thank you. Wow, I'm as tall as Tom Cruise now. I love punk. It is one of my favorite genres of music. The scene, however, I think I understand its message of like anti-authoritarianism and being anti,
Mhm.
but I believe it falls into conformity because you have everyone dressing alike, dressing the same, and I understand that's supposed to be different, and it is different. You see you see somebody dressed up like a punk walking down, say, Main Street of Disneyland.
Yeah.
Your eye immediately goes to them.
Yeah.
But I understand it's being different, but when everyone starts being different, then nothing is different. You're just different from like maybe the larger percent of the world, but you're looking the same as everyone else. So there's a bit of conformity there. And I think the best band to exemplify being anti is the Descendants, because they just wear t-shirts and jeans on stage.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, and then you look at Milo, the lead singer, he has these thick ass glasses, he has a nice haircut. They sing about wanting a suburban home.
Mm-hmm.
They sing about wanting a house in the suburbs. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And like having, just nice things and stuff. But they sing about love too. And so that's kind of like where I have like this kind of split. Like when you watch like Decline of the Western Civilization, the first one, it's about the punk scene in Southern California in 1979. And man, it is gross. It is disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just like, wow, these people, I get it. You're not bound by, all the technology based on that, 1979 on that documentary. It's the technology at the time, it's by your possessions, but is like to live like that in squalor. Like I believe it showed like Black Flag, and they were all like sleeping in like closets and shit,
Mm-hmm.
like in what looked like an abandoned apartment.
Yeah. I can. So I heard this podcast where Billy Joe Armstrong was talking before this is before Green Day came out. He was talking about him writing
Is it Basket
it
Case?
was Basket Case.
Yeah, yeah.
And he goes on to say how he was living in the Bay Area. He was a punk rocker.
Bay
He-
Area had a good punk rock scene.
yeah, he was living in a basement with like five other dudes, and at times they would just be like hanging out smoking meth together, writing songs. And he was like, when I was tripping out, I would just start writing, and I thought I made the greatest song ever. Yeah, and this was
Yeah, drug use is very heavy.
Yeah. So when he was describing living in that basement, I was repulsed
Yeah.
because it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm used to a sense of living how I like to live.
Yeah,
Things
yeah.
can be a little dirty and I'll be fine with it. Just look at my room right now.
I can't even walk anywhere.
Exactly. Filled with shit bottles, paper clippings, and is that a used condom?
Oh my God. That pizza box has been here for 2 months.
Stay out of my fridge. I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm just used to a sense of like just cleanliness, and just hearing that I was like, ooh, I can't imagine, because like I know people who use I don't like to associate with them because I draw the line at where I like to hang out with my friends, and if I know they're using, then I ask them if they need help, if they need resources. I know a ton of resources.
Yeah.
Um but I know that like their cleanliness is not the same from before they started using.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can go days without taking a shower.
That is
Yes. Yeah. So when you were standing on your soapbox just a moment ago, when you were talking about looking like everyone else, are you talking about the way Chris has adapted the punk rock lifestyle with the Liberty Spikes and how he started dressing like everyone else?
yes. Yes. Cause cause punk is cool. I think it's cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah, same.
yeah, but to a certain degree, it does become like, what are you doing? And then Chris kind of adapts it in an anti way, but that's where his message, like, he becomes just as preachy as the NAC.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I like how you see that, and one of the characters brings it up to him. And at this point, he's using the media, which was his enemy. Now he's using it to his advantage to get his message out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as the story goes on, like it really kind of it's set at a more brisk pace when you get to the actual punk rock Jesus,
Yes,
and it moves along so much faster.
it does. It moves quick.
Yeah.
Probably because we're off the island a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you just had the one setting of the island, but you get to this, you get to flooded Manhattan,
Yeah.
and yeah, you get to flooded Manhattan, and then it's just him touring with his band, the NAC coming after him, and then
J2 coming after him.
yeah, and then he decides to go on a world tour with his band, and the first place he goes to
Oh,
is
this is so problematic.
the first show of his world tour is in Jerusalem. Oh my
Wow.
god.
Ah, man, if you really wanted to ruffle some feathers,
You fucking did it.
yeah, he did. Shoo. And especially like right now
Yeah.
with everything going on in that area
Yeah.
is I I went like not at Sean Murphy, but at the character.
Yeah, the character's choice.
I was like, oof.
Yeah, I pulled the book away from my face and went, "Ooh, what?"
Yeah, and I do like how like I know Sean Murphy is not a he's not a scholar in the subject of what's going on in the Middle East and whatnot. And we know that the occupation of the Israeli state on the Palestinian people, he does bring that up a little bit in this
Yes.
book, as he says that it's ruffled, like the staging the show over there. Has they said that the Israeli state allowed the show to be over there so that they can get more militaristic on the inhabitants of the Muslim community that's over there. So it starts ruffling up the Christian community, the Muslim community, the Jewish community.
Yeah.
And then you have, and this is still at the time of when we're still in, the Middle East, like just ruining everything, like post 9/11.
Yeah.
So,
Drones.
huh?
Drones.
Drones.
This is our drone era.
Yeah. I mean, we still had boots on the ground and shit.
Yeah. We
But
just sent Boots back over there.
oh, did we?
Yeah.
I didn't read that.
Oh, well.
But yeah, and so you have them fighting Muslim extremists,
Yes.
which I thought was a little. Well, it made sense because Thomas tells Chris, "Hey, like this isn't a good idea. You shouldn't do the show over there because you're protected by the American states and the American laws. But once we get out of the country, I'm the only one protecting you, and that's not enough."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "What would you do?" And he says, "If I was a Muslim extremist, I would try to kill you."
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Yeah, because there are extremists. And it shows you
Yeah, there's extremists and
in all groups.
yeah.
Yeah,
And that's what this book shows.
yeah. I don't think it shies away. I think it's well balanced in that way,
Mm-hmm.
where you show the extremism going on within all groups, mostly focusing on because
Because it's set in America.
it's set in America, and I mean it has to do with Jesus, so you have mostly just Christian extremists, and then when you go outside, and it's just like, well, you got to watch out for the Muslim extremists because he is this sacrilegious, this false prophet performing anti-religious songs and messages on Holy Land.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, okay, I get it within this context. And I know some people might be more sensitive to that.
Yeah.
Personally, me, I can read into themes. I don't like to say I'm like, illiterate when it comes to
No, you have media literacy.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay. There's a part of me that was getting like, but it's done really well.
Piece of fiction.
Yeah. Yeah, it is fiction. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that Chris would go over there and do that, and then they get attacked, and their lead guitarist dies.
Rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was basically what breaks up the band, and you get this moment with Rebecca and Chris
Yeah.
that I really like. And then that's when Epstein reveals that Chris is actually not
Jesus.
He's not a clone of Jesus at
He's
all.
just a clone.
Just a clone.
Of who? They don't say.
Yeah.
They have no idea because the DNA that they used to clone Chris and Rebecca, it was like unknown DNA. It was mystery DNA. So they don't know who. That's just the way it is.
I think what Dr. Sarah Epstein was trying to do was just, cloning humans. This was a way to start cloning people
Yeah.
because she went and she started mixing with the DNA to create two identical twins, one male, one female.
Yeah. And I mean, anyone who knows anything about twins, there's no such thing as identical male and female twins. They're fraternal.
Yeah, you either get identical male male or identical female female.
Yeah, like me, and my brother, identical male male.
Yeah. Basically we're reaching the crescendo
Yeah.
of the book. It's right at the end.
This is where I have a problem.
What's the problem?
I feel like once we get to the ending, I feel like it's speed running.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we don't get enough time to link big moment that happens towards the end of the book.
Oh, we don't. Okay. Yeah. So again, spoilers.
This is going to be a big spoiler.
So the NAC raids the news network that Chris, Tom, and the whole cast is at, and they go and they shoot down the helicopter that Chris and cast are escaping in.
Yeah. Thomas is trying to hold them back as much as he could.
The helicopter crashes, killing Chris,
Yes.
and you just see Chris's body in the debris of the helicopter. And then you don't really hold on to that moment. You just go to what happens next.
Yeah, because you're just kind of see the splash page as you see Chris's body and the rubble. And then, yeah, we go to automatically a hearing that Rick Slade is having with the government, this congressional hearing saying, you know, what you did was terrible and stuff. We can't really prosecute you because we don't have any evidence because you destroyed all the evidence. And Rick is just sort of nonchalant about it. He's like, oh, well, like, I didn't do anything wrong, and you have no proof I didn't do anything wrong. And he's just like, why would I burn all the stuff that exonerates me?
Yeah.
Like, you know, playing that game. You find out he gets off really easy. And then he mentions, like, it's sad what happened. They killed Chris. And then that's where you get that defining moment where it's like, oh, he is dead.
Yeah.
And again, we don't linger on that too much because then it just, again, cuts to a statue of Chris as they put a little like studded bracelet over it. He looks
was
normal.
cute.
Yeah, I know. I really like that. I was like now it looks like him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
yeah, that was
that's
cute.
sweet.
You get to Sarah having a confession with Tom about the whole J2 project, about Rebecca, where she came from.
And how she ended up saving Rebecca.
She actually recorded Slate dropping Rebecca into the river when she was just a baby.
Yeah.
But she held on to that for 15 years. And Thomas is really mad because, well, the thing is that back when Thomas was an IRA agent, you get his whole backstory. That's how the book actually opens up, with his parents dying from an attack,
And how he gets into the IRA. He gets
recruited by his uncle.
Yeah.
And his uncle blames Thomas for killing his dad, and shoots his dad as a mercy killing. He gets brought up in the IRA. At some point,
He's committing terrorist crimes.
blowing school buses up, shooting people.
But Thomas has a soft spot for children.
Yeah.
So that is something that's prevalent throughout the whole book, and one of the main reasons why. And he has tattooed crosses on his back for each one of the victims he's killed, and he has a lot of them. They call him the Graveyard. And yeah, I think he's the only character in the book with a clear, defining character arc.
Yeah.
And he gets pissed off at Sarah for holding on to this information.
It could have prosecuted Rick Slate earlier, and Gwen and Chris would still be alive.
Yeah, so he gets pissed off at that, but Sarah like brings up like, hey, like if this didn't happen, then Chris would have been left to his own devices out there in the world.
Yeah.
They probably would have killed him sooner.
Yeah.
The book ends with Rick trying to clone the Prophet Muhammad.
Oh no, he's pitching the idea.
Yeah, he's trying to pitch the idea to clone the Prophet Muhammad next once all the buzz of J2 and this whole experiment dies down. Which, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to end up well.
Come on, look at Jurassic Park, man. It's not going to work.
It's just not going to work. You were so busy to think about that you could. You didn't think about, if you should.
If you should.
So Thomas punches through his windshield, grabs him like in the middle. They're both driving. He grabs him, drags his body across the street, and then throws him under an 18-wheeler. And the last image you see of the book is just Thomas riding his motorcycle as like the mangled body is like being destroyed underneath an 18-wheeler. And
Hell
that's it.
yeah. Punk rock.
That's all right. So that's what has me like a little like a little like conflicted on this ending because it's just like one it's fast. We don't linger on these emotional moments as long as I would like to linger with these emotional moments.
Yeah.
And then we get to that and then that's it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like what this reminds me of. Like,
All of a sudden it just ends.
yeah, where it just ends after like the bad guy blows up. I think it reminds me of this. What is it? There's this movie. It's a terrible movie, but this guy gets revenge on this like drug dealer or whatever. And he goes to the compound where this drug dealer is at.
Mm-hmm.
He gets shot after killing all the henchmen, and the other guy, he pulls out his gun and he's like getting ready to kill our hero. But he pulls out this like little gun out of his wrist, like with the, little contraption like in Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
And he shoots at it, and you see it's a tiny fucking gun. But when it cuts to the wide shot, it's this giant like rocket launcher. And then the guy blows up and it does a freeze frame on the exploded body. And then it just gives you like, our hero was sent to jail for 5 years, but doing the like,
Oh God.
and then like credits start rolling. Like we didn't have time to process. Like it just ends.
Yeah.
I'll send you the video. It's so funny.
Okay.
But yeah, it reminds me of that. We're just kind of like, oh, that's it. Okay.
I think it just goes more into Thomas as a character throughout the whole book. He doesn't you see him kill, but he's only killing in the flashbacks.
Yes.
He made a vow after leaving the IRA to not kill again because he was visited by a saint.
Yeah.
I believe it was no, he was actually visited by Mary, the Virgin Mary, right?
Yeah, I believe it was the Virgin
But
Mary.
the Virgin Mary looks a
Looks
lot
like Gwen.
Yeah.
So that's why he was in love. He sees Gwen. It's immediately like love at first sight when he sees Gwen.
Yeah.
He mentions that later because he's a very stoic man.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the two of them there as he's like conflicted after he kills a bunch of people for Chris. That is he going to hell? Like by breaking his promise, is he going to hell? Like, please tell me you're the real Jesus.
Yeah.
Which I really liked in that moment. But
Yeah, like I said, I think it has to deal with a lot of Thomas as a character because he broke his vow for Chris, but he's going to keep on doing it because I think he breaks away from his religion.
yeah.
That's my interpretation.
Okay.
He breaks away from his religion because of the talk he had with Sarah about whether crime is going to happen to him, going to happen to Rick Slate or not.
Yeah.
She mentions that she doesn't believe in an afterlife. So if Rick Slate doesn't get justice in this life, it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have to take matters into your own hands.
Right.
And I believe, like, breaking away from the story just a little bit, in the back of the trade paperback, you have this little column from Sean Murphy, and he talks about how he lived in Colorado and he went on a trip to California because his friend really likes surfing. He doesn't really like it, and he found himself under a wave. Just before he went on this trip, he told himself that he is not going to be he's going to be atheist just to try it out because he was feeling really disconnected from his religion. So he goes to California, he gets on the surfboard and he goes under the water, and he doesn't really know how to swim. He tells himself, I'm going to pray, but then he has another thought saying, why am I going to break what I just told myself of not practicing this religion? And then he said he had a moment where he realized that the surfboard was still connected to him. So he followed the rope and he went to the surfboard on top of the water, and he came up for air.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where he realized that he can take matters into his own hand. If he just waited there and prayed that God would save him, would he have ever been saved? And I think that is basically a mirror of what Sarah Epstein was saying when she was like, if justice doesn't happen to Rick Slate in this life, it will never happen. And then Thomas takes it into his own hands,
Yeah.
where he goes and he kills Rick Slate.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I didn't have any of that back matter in my copy, but oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so it's basically pushing away aside your religious beliefs and then taking matters into your own hands. Yes, it's not always going to be, you know, fucking daisies and everything. It's
Yeah,
not all,
yeah.
but at least you're doing something instead of hoping that something else will save you, that will, wreak vengeance or,
Yeah.
give you justice or anything. You're the one who is the judge. You're the one who is seeking vengeance.
Yeah, yeah. So it's basically breaking away from destiny and putting fate into your own hands.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh wow, okay. I like that.
Yeah. That's so like it in my trade paperback, it was just that little column right there where he's just talking about that. And that's how he got into writing Punk Rock Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Because he had the idea, he put it aside, went to California, had that near death experience, came out of it, and was like, okay, let me write Punk Rock Jesus.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense for that ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I mentioned before, I think the ending, it was a little too neat.
Yeah.
I didn't think it stuck the landing so well, but that's not to say that the overall story was great and enjoyable. I had a really, really entertaining, fun time with this book.
Yeah, like the characters are believable characters that they could really exist.
And they're all flawed.
Yes.
They all have their faults. They all go through this extremely stressful life. I wouldn't even say situation. It's like their whole lives.
Yeah, they're living on that compound. They're working for an ass hat, working for a horrible company.
Yeah, and it's all in the name of entertainment and media.
Yeah, and just fucking making money.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it works in that bit too, where like I said earlier, it's very on the line of like Truman Show,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and even in that one where he decides to leave the dome,
Yeah.
yeah, he's taking life into his own hands. He's done.
Yeah. He's not gonna let anyone else dictate his actions.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, that was Punk Rock Jesus by Sean Murphy.
yeah. Holy crap.
And I have to say, like we talked about the story, but I just want to say, like, the artwork is gorgeous. I love Sean Murphy's art. I've been a fan of his since Joe the Barbarian.
Yeah.
This I liked his artwork in The Wake with Scott Snyder.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
And then he went off to do this great line of Batman books.
Yeah, he has his own Elseworlds Batman books going on. Well, it's Black Label,
Yeah.
but I mean, it is an Elseworlds.
Yeah, it is Elseworlds.
Yeah, yeah, and that stuff is really good too. It's the White Knight series.
Yes, Batman the White Knight.
It's a great love letter to Batman.
And just Batman in all forms too, because you have things that are like from the animated series, and it looks a lot like the animated series.
Yeah,
At times, you have things from like Batman '89.
yeah. You also you even get like the Tumblr in it. From the Nolan's Dark Knight series.
Yeah, and you get a lot of things from like the Timverse.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was. I love his work, and just now revisiting this book, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot this is some of his early work. It's really great. I love its punk aesthetic. I love
Mm-hmm.
it's not colorized. It's all black and white. So you get a lot of his lines. You get a lot of like see the shading and everything. I wouldn't call it cross hatching, but
No,
there's a lot of line
It's
work.
like a lot of sketching,
Yeah, it's a lot of sketching in it.
and it's just a beautiful looking book.
No, yeah. So yeah, that was our review of Punk Rock Jesus by Sean Murphy. Andre, do you have any announcements that we have to make?
Yeah. So this is our Christmas episode. We are going to be taking a small break just for the holidays. some of us have work.
We got work, we got our lives. You know, it's Christmas, it's New Year's, it's whatever.
Yeah, it's time to party.
Hey.
Eh.
Yeah, so
We'll be back in late January, mid-January.
yeah, mid to late.
Yeah, mid to late January. We're going to come out with a fun episode.
Oh yes.
Yes, we're going to come out. We're going to have a couple special guests with us.
Yeah. Do you want to just say it? Yeah, we're going to do a power bomb. So I'm really excited to do that. I love that book.
Yeah, I love it too.
Yep, Daniel Warren Johnson.
We'll talk about it more when we get to it. So yeah, just hang around for then. We'll be active on our socials.
We'll try. I'm barely active on my own, so it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, we'll do our best
Yeah.
to be active on our socials. So if you want to go ahead and contact us on Instagram, TikTok,
Instagram, TikTok, and we also have our email, and you can find that all at Comic Bros Authority. And our email is comicbrosauthority@gmail.com if you have any questions or comments. And you can also
rate and review us. Please do. I will comment back because I have access to it.
Yeah, I do not. So you won't be ever hearing from me.
Oh, God. Yeah, so go ahead and do it. We would appreciate it. It would help us reach the audience that we're looking for. Not that you're not the audience that we're looking for, but it'll help us increase our numbers.
And we grow.
Yeah, and we grow from that. And that's fine. Even if we have a small community, it's still a great community.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Thank you for everyone who has listened and given us a shot this year. Bless their hearts. Bless their souls. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You're amazing. You keep us going and you keep me young.
Yes. Well, I have gray hairs now, so.
I found one in my beard. Oh, God.
Dude, I have 3.
Old shit.
I know. I can attribute. I have names for them.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. One is Kaikoa.
Oh, God. Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, he's stressful.
Yeah.
One is Chloe. And one's for my little baby. All right. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Hope you're all safe. Stay warm. Stay fed.
Keep reading.
Keep reading.
Thank you. This is Miles signing off.
Andre signing off.
She waits and prays because it's almost Christmas.